It's sketchbook tour time. I have officially made it to the center of my little sketchbook. I did want to clear up some things before we started, and that is what this intro is for. Number one, don't buy this sketchbook. I said this on TikTok, and I'll probably link some other sketchbooks that you could buy instead. But a lot of people ask me what sketchbook this is, and I don't tell them, not because I'm gatekeeping or anything, but because back when Universal Studios opened up Harry Potter World, almost every single relative and friend of mine got me this journal thing, and I don't want to give J.K. Rowling any more money, and that's really important to me, that no one gives that woman any more money because she's a TERF. I have like a bunch of these. This isn't even my last one in my hoard. This is my old sketchbook hoard, and there's, I think, one more that's unused after this one. And once I'm done with them, then I will buy different sketchbooks. I just don't see a point in wasting a perfectly good sketchbook because I love the size. But the fact that it is Harry Potter related kind of fills me with a little shame now. I'm not gonna lie. I used to really like them, but I'm not telling people to buy them anymore. So that's announcement number one. Number two, I do try to talk about every single material that I use, but I'm pretty sure I do miss some while I'm babbling on and on. So I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown of the materials that I do use. In terms of like coloring pencils, I'm not really a coloring pencil aficionado. I don't really know much about coloring pencils, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I just have hordes of them that I've saved over the years, and then I color coordinated them. Some of them are just standard Crayola, and some of them are like Prismacolor. Some are old ones that I guess I had since I was a child. Some of them are, they have no name brand. Some of them are watercolor pencils. This one's called Polycolor. It's just a hoard, so I can't really say the brand for certainty when I'm using them in my sketchbook because I just kind of grab depending on the color. I have a lot of Copics laying around, and I do have some random off-brand markers that I usually get as like free samples in places. So sometimes I'm using those, but for the most part, it's Copic markers if I'm using the ones that have a brush tip. I have a lot of Faber-Castell. By a lot, I mean a lot of nibs. They're usually around the same color. This one's hot pink. I actually barely use this one. I use the ones that are burnt sienna a lot. I have a lot of microns. I use a lot of Sharpies. I have a lot of random colored gel pens. Some of them are literally just from office supply stores, or they're like children's glitter pens. This one is on its last legs, but I do actually use it a lot. It's just a Pentel pen. But it's nice. It's got a really nice brush tip thing. But it is dying, and so I'll probably retire it because I've never seen it again. I mentioned using a highlighter a lot. They're literally just Sharpie highlighters. I use a lot of random office supplies. I have Posca pens. These are relatively new. I got them right around when I was finishing my old sketchbook, and so I've been using them a lot so far. I use a lot of washi tape, and I use a lot of stickers from my little sticker hoard. I usually try to collect a bunch of little stickers because I like to not just use them in my sketchbook, but I also like to sometimes do little junk journals to keep my pictures together. So I have a bunch of stickers. Some of them are mine from when I'm doing tests before I put them up on Etsy or before I sell them on Comic-Con. So some of them are just mine. I use the Sakura gel pens a lot. I got this as like a birthday present, God, 5 years ago? 6, 7, I don't know. Some of them are already clearly dying, but I refuse to get rid of them because I want to be able to go to an art supply store with the corpse of a random gel pen to see if I can match the color. Some of the things that I throw into my sketchbook is also digital art that I made myself on like Procreate that I printed out so that I could keep it in my sketchbook. so that's another thing. And finally, sometimes I tend to prime the pages. I'm either using a gesso or I'm just priming it in gouache paint, and it's important that it's gouache paint because if it's acrylic paint, it tends to stick together, and that's not fun for anybody involved, and especially not fun for me. I also briefly mention it in the video, but I put strings on the sides of my sketchbook so that I could close it. Last time I used like an elastic and I did it from top to bottom, and it was not good. I mean, it works, it's fine. It kept it really tight. The only problem is that sometimes since I tend to glue things to it, it would like crumple everything together that was on the top of it. And I mean, it's still functional. I'm not gonna change it, but it was kind of annoying. Using a bow is definitely the tried and true method. I'm back to basics. This string is from a random shirt that I didn't like. Those stupid little spaghetti sleeves that don't do anything, and so I chopped them off, and here they are. The third thing that I want to talk about is the fact that this isn't really a traditional sketchbook, I guess. I've gotten a lot of comments sometimes on TikTok if one of my videos blows up where people complain that this isn't a real sketchbook, yada yada yada, because I tend to do too much. And I want to make it perfectly clear. One, you can do whatever you want in your sketchbook. It's literally your sketchbook. But two, this isn't the only sketchbook that I own. I do have another video where I do a tour of all of my different sketchbooks. I've actually added more since then, but basically I want to make it clear that in this sketchbook I'm trying to experiment. So I'm doing a bunch of things in here. I'm doing interactive pages or using a bunch of different mediums that I don't usually use. This one is sort of a sketchbook and an art journal at the same time. I tend to write things in here. I tend to vent maybe. So it's not necessarily a traditional sketchbook. I don't have as many anatomy sketches or anything in here because I have other sketchbooks for that. There are a few pages in here where I try that, but it was mostly a materials practice and not an anatomy practice, for example. So I have other sketchbooks, but this is my pretty one where I put in as many stickers and colors as I possibly want. Fourth thing that I want to bring up is that I do bring up a lot of my other sketchbook tours or sketchbook videos in general because I like to view my sketchbook tour as sort of a review of the year, and so a lot happens in the span of a year, and I do reference videos that came out around the time that I drew something or if I drew it for a video. So if you want to check out the rest of my channel, I would enjoy that. I actually made it to a very specific amount of subscribers, and if I make it to a specific amount of views, I could monetize YouTube, and that would be really fun because I could have money for this absolute ridiculousness that I post on the internet. Okay, so first things first, I know that my sketchbooks get really bulky, and so lately what I've been doing is trying to find ways to create closures in them. My last sketchbook had an elastic, but I didn't really like the way it would scrunch things up, so this time I only added 2 little ribbons so that all I have to do is put in a little bow whenever I want to close it. I've also been adding stickers like this one that I got at a thrift store. These are from old stamps that I've used up. That's a paid sticker from a water bottle. And then a lot of those are just other stickers that I've had around the house. And I usually skip this page because it's so close to that lining page. And this is where we start my newest sketchbook. So this one happened immediately after I watched No Way Home. So as you can see, I was back in my Spider-Man phase. I wanted to go for an experimental spread, so I did some journaling. I did some embroidery because I was new at picking up embroidery. I wanted to see how it worked on paper. I tried to do a cutout tutorial for TikTok because people were asking how I did the spider page on my last sketchbook. It worked for the video, but in an actual sketchbook, it is not doing so great. It's clearly very broken because of the other pieces that weren't laying flat. They just kind of screwed it over. And then these are the tickets that I got when I went to go watch the movie. And unfortunately, I learned something new. I can't put them in a laminate thing because it rubs off the text. So all it says is like S. But, you know, context clues. I know what tickets they're supposed to be, so it's fine. And speaking of Spider-Man, I'm hoping to make a Gwen Stacy inspired print soon for Comic-Con, so watch out for that. I might post the process here too. While that was my first spread, this is technically the first thing that I worked on in this sketchbook. I watched a TikTok video about how you should make the first page in your sketchbook a self-portrait, one where you use a reference and one where you don't. This is one that I used a reference on, and this is the one that I didn't. And I don't really think either particularly looks like me all that much. I did both with Sakura gel pens, though, in case you were wondering. That and the background of this one is with washi tape. So this next spread is in early January, and as you can tell, this is when I was trying really hard to make somewhat of a routine or a business plan for myself for that year, and I really wanted to do more stuff for Etsy. I don't necessarily think that all worked out for me, but I was really focusing on making products, and those stickers are ones that I made traditionally. I had painted, and then I used Copic marker and Posca pen. It was mostly acrylic paintings, and I scanned them in and I made them into stickers that are still my Etsy, but I'll probably remove them soon. And then both portraits are just Posca pen limited color palette practices. And some of those sticker designs actually became pins/badges that I used at Comic-Con. Now, this is a spread that I remember starting backwards. I did the landscape painting mainly because I wanted to see if the sketchbook could handle gouache, but I want to keep this tour in order, so we're just going to talk about the body that I drew first. I feel like when I draw people, they're either super covered up in like historical costumes or they're just bellies. And this is probably an artist thing, but I love the way bellies look when you're painting them. But anyway, back to the landscape. I had painted this because I just wanted to get rid of some old gouache colors that I had, and I had too much of it, which is why I ended up painting the little belly, because I didn't know what else to paint, and I saw my own belly. So unfortunately, I also only had this much left of my favorite washi tape, the one that has the little Moroccan tiles, and it fit the color palette, so I added in my avatar stickers too. There's not really much I can say about this one spread because it's just a lot going on at once. This is an old drawing that I also have a video up on YouTube when I decided to do a Rankin and Bass version of The Hobbit, but like the stop motion puppet, not the one that already exists. And I made a bunch of other little stickers that had to do with the same thing, and I made a little pack of them. I called them my little Hobbit core stickers, and I sold them at Comic-Con while I was there. I knew I couldn't sell the Bilbo one because of the whole Tolkien copyright issues, but I thought it was a really fun experiment, and I want to do it again this year, but with a different character that has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. I'm thinking a really cute Dorothy Gale. And then this little heart box of chocolates I did around Valentine's Day because I wanted to see if I could sell Valentine's Day stickers, but I don't really think they're the vibe for me. 2022 was a year of great trial and error for me. Then there's this beauty. I have an actual picture of this one in my last sketchbook, but this is the thank you card that I make when I sell stuff on Etsy. I usually write a little note on the back of it. On this one, it's not really a thank you card. It's mostly just my regular routine because I've been trying to sort of give myself a schedule for when I work at home. And then this spread is that I wanted to do more portraits. I feel like I don't do portraits enough anymore. I used to do portraits all the time, and then I decided to, I guess, venture forward and do more things. But I feel like I don't do enough portraits, and if I want to do portrait commissions, I should do more. So I did these, and they're supposed to be oranges and yellows, and then blues and yellows to see what they would look like side by side. One is in Copic markers and the other is in Posca pens. And I'm clearly trying to get rid of this washi tape, so that's what I use for the background. And then I also put in some of my little star stickers. By the time I worked on this sketchbook again, I had already finished my first ever Comic-Con. I have a YouTube video about the experience, and I have another one where I talk about my tips and tricks, and I decided to add in some of the extra stickers that I had left over so that I could talk about the experience there. This one, I'm really embarrassed about it. I mentioned it in my last video. No one told me that I forgot the R in world, and no one seemed to notice. I sold 2 of those. I'm really embarrassed about it. But this one was also my best-selling sticker. This is my Black Phillip sticker. It is my pride and joy. It's very glittery. I also have it up on Etsy. I have this Nadja clear paper one that I really like. And then the other ones that are glitter stickers, these are the ones that I use for my display, so I put them on my sketchbook. I will have these at my 2023 Comic-Con again too. And then this is just the thing that came with the cap print receipt when I ordered from them. I don't know if I'm going to do that that again because even though they were really good, it took a while to get to my location, and I don't think I have that time this year. I might just go to a local place, hopefully. I also foolishly made a list of all of the things that I should remember by next year's Comic-Con, and I don't even think that I have the time to do most of these that I was really hoping to do to make everything more efficient. Hopefully I can get some of that in order, but some of them I don't think they're happening, but they're good to keep track of. And if you're wondering what these little ants are, when I was being a little gremlin, I found an old stack of Crayola pens from the 2000s that have little stamps on them, and I've been using the ant one religiously. And not to keep talking about Comic-Con, but while I was there, I did meet the guy that makes La Borinqueña comics, and that was really fun for me because, ironically, my grandmother, she buys me Cortez chocolate all the time for hot chocolate, and it had her on it, so I decided to use the packaging to hold the business cards from all of the artists that I met while I was there, and hopefully I can fit in some more from this year in the same packet without it getting too bulky, or I might just make a whole new little pocket for them. A few days had passed since Comic-Con, and I was exhausted after my first one, so I hadn't done anything in a while. So then, because I knew that we were going to be going on a trip so that I could get my things out of storage, I decided to prime a bunch of pages in advance so that I could do some little doodles on the plane, and I didn't actually end up doing a lot of it. It's a long story, but I used those pages to do some body practice drawings. This was just an excuse for me to draw some more anatomy because I feel like I have been really avoiding my other sketchbooks lately because I've just been so busy. But I think giving myself like a little color palette and a theme really helped. I'm just gonna cover this little lady up a little bit in a second because I know I don't really show this page up on TikTok a lot because of their rules in terms of nudity, and I know that YouTube has different rules because this is art/anatomy. I'm not actually showing anything inappropriate, but just in case, I'm gonna cover her up. And then this is one of Barbie Fiera when she did that ballet-esque photo shoot. I like how even though I didn't put too much detail in the face and in the body, it still looks really dainty and really cute. And also, as you can see, I just like drawing bellies. Now, like I said before, I had gone on a trip to get my stuff out of storage. That's what this little ticket is from. I go into way more detail about that in my other video about my art studio space in my bedroom. And I had primed all these pages hoping that I could draw on the plane ride back, but unfortunately I got incredibly sick. I did, however, have time to journal about my experience there. I was kind of sad because I had gone back to the town that I went to college in, and I felt like I didn't really get to hang out there, and it was giving me a lot of weird nostalgia. And since I was sick, a lot of these pages kind of reflect that. This is just a portrait that I did. I was too lazy to get my other materials, so it's really just coloring pencil, and I think light color Posca pen for details, and it was mostly me complaining about how I really wanted to do more art, but I felt so sick that I couldn't really do anything productive, and then I felt guilty for feeling guilty about that. So technically any of the primed pages are really just my sick pages. This is a business card from the same place that I got the sticker, the same thrift store. I ended up going there when I felt better, and I just added it into the last page that I worked on. And then these are just some mouth sketches that I did. And also I complained about the fact that when I went on my trip and then I got sick, I ended up coughing so much that I burst blood vessels in my eye, and so I did a quick little doodle of that because that's what a normal person does. These sketches are just pen and some coloring pencil, and then I added some of my letter stickers. I really love this spread. I adore this spread in my sketchbook, but I'm not going to go too into detail on it because I have an entire video on just these two pages and how I made them up on YouTube too. So, I'm not going to just keep repeating myself, but basically these little stars are made with a sienna pen, some highlighters, and coloring pencils. And then I went over it with some Posca pen because the coloring pencils made everything a little too waxy to use the gel pens that I usually use on them. Posca pens have played a big role in my art lately. And then the other drawing is that I follow Little Star Nerd on YouTube and Instagram, and she made a draw this in your style, and I decided to essentially use it as an excuse to make a big sketching video on YouTube because it's been a while. So if you want to check that one out, you can. I'm just going to repeat the materials that I used. I have a lot of random pens that I do list with, you know, actual certainty in the video, but it's mostly Copic marker and Posca pen. I feel like if you watch my other videos, you can definitely sort of see a direct timeline in how everything is made. So anyway, this other page that I made, I am directly doing what I did with the other sun star page because I really like how those came out and I wanted to see if I could make other stickers. And this one, once again, if you watch my other video and you'll see the one that I made about making my little art studio, I've been trying to get crane embroidery scissors for so long, and every single time I get them, they do not ship to my location and they cancel the order. But this one says I'll cut you out because I am really angry about it. Please sing it to yourself the way that the highwayman from Over the Garden Wall would. I'll knock you out. You can tell that this page is mostly based off of the frustrations of me trying to work on my little art studio corner in my bedroom because I was really looking for a trash can that fit the aesthetic of my bedroom, and instead what I did was that I bought a red one and I painted it to look like a strawberry. And then this one is based off of the fact that I was looking for the fuse for my old light bulbs and I could not find one, and I had to buy different light bulbs for my little closet. It says bright ideas, bright future, but where are the fuses? And then the last one's just a dumb joke based off of that old meme that's like, women want me, fish fear me, except I'm genuinely scared of the ocean and I don't like when fish touch me when I'm in the beach. I hate that. And then this one is a sort of life drawing based off of a Matryoshka doll that I have in my bedroom. I have quite a few of those. I think I have 7 in my room, and I think they're really cute. I especially like it when they have a little headscarf. And if I can find more novelty Matryoshka dolls, I would like to own them because I like collecting little things. And this one is entirely in Posca pens because I like the way that they give a little wood texture from afar. And this one just says more than meets the eye, and I have layers. Please say it to yourself the way Shrek would. Thank you. And now comes my dreaded 25th birthday. Now, every year on my birthday, I've been trying to do a couple of things. I've been trying to journal about it, I've been trying to do an annual self-portrait, and I've been trying to get images that are birthday related so that I can do a little digital art practice on Procreate where I sort of base it off of shapes and maybe the brush texture, and I don't try to overdo it in terms of detail. And this year I did these little dogs. Once again, I don't really want to go too into detail about how I made any of this because I feel like I would be repeating myself because I have an entire video on YouTube about this whole thing. So like this page plus the pages where I do my little self-portrait in them. So I don't want to go too much into it. Basically, the ones that are digital are just kind of cut and glued on the page. And then these are done with gel pens and a ballpoint pen. And then the other one is mostly Copic marker. And the reason I keep saying my dreaded birthday is because a hurricane hit on my birthday again. And it was not a really fun birthday for me. This is a little card that my friend got me.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
This is her handwriting, and it's so much better than my handwriting. And I added in some little stickers so that I could sort of put it in between this page and then just sort of vent about what happened to me on my birthday on the back page because I was really upset about it because I really wanted that birthday to be like a fun, almost childlike birthday party. I was actually hoping to make it SpongeBob themed. We even got balloons, but you know, there wasn't really much you could do on my birthday. I don't know. I guess I was just kind of hoping that that would be like one day of the year where I could have a non-adult time and just eat cake and watch cartoons or something, but I couldn't even have that. And then for the next 2 weeks, we obviously had absolutely no power. So it was just kind of a dark blot on the year. And then that kind of delayed me quite a bit in terms of doing pretty much anything after that because I had to keep up with other things like my portfolio. And so this page is just kind of an easy page. I took art that I had made digitally a while ago and I cut up the faces so that I could keep them in my sketchbook because these are all characters that I've worked on before. I had a project and I made a character, and then it sort of blossomed into a whole story thing, but I actually suck at writing, so I haven't written anything about them. These are my favorite ones, right? So that little girl is the one that started it all, and then I have all these other characters. And instead of writing, what I've just been doing is making Pinterest boards for every single one of them, so I kind of know what all of them look like and what their vibe is and what themes I would like to write about if I ever actually did write about it. Will I do that? I don't think so anytime soon, but I think they all came out really pretty, and I just wanted to keep them in my sketchbook instead of just forgetting about it in a Procreate file somewhere. I don't really have much to say on this one page. I think I had something planned for that, and then I completely forgot about it, so I ended up just drawing that in Posca pens because I didn't really have all that much motivation at the time. I do like sort of the concept of it. I might redraw it someday. And then this page, I did this portrait in Posca pen, and I did make a little TikTok video of how I made it, and then I made this veil because like I really liked making that spider one in my last sketchbook, and I wanted to experiment with sort of like having a layer that's like a veil. I like when you lift it, it's interactive. It's not the best, but it's nice. And then this page is a comfort movie page. This actually is not in order. I did this when I didn't have any power because these were pre-primed pages for a completely different thing that I didn't end up doing. And basically, when we lost power, we did have a generator at least. So when we made dinner, we would hook up the air fryer or something to the generator, and we had enough power to hook it up to the television. And what I did was I would just, we didn't have internet, so I would just put in my Lord of the Rings DVDs as a comfort because you know what? It was my birthday, so I got to be in charge of the comfort movie TV time that was scheduled. And obviously, I re-fell in love with Samwise, and I tried to doodle. It's very hard to doodle in the dark. And so that's what they are. I also drew Anya Taylor-Joy because I had a picture of her saved up, and I don't know what that is. Yeah, that's what was happening in the dark. Plus, since that was the routine for quite a few days since we didn't have power, it just gave me enough time to sort of watch the 3 movies in like pieces. And then I also decided to watch the original Star Wars trilogy because I needed comfort. And I tried to draw them without looking at them too much and sort of try to get the essence. I don't think the top 3 really work, but I love that one because I like in the old movies, I don't know if it's the way that it was filmed and the way color works in the older movies, but his eyes are so blue in that goddamn movie. They make me want to paint little eyelashes. And then obviously I had to draw Princess Leia icon and a couple of my favorite of her little hairstyles and little doodles. Once power finally got back to normal, I was sort of back on track for my little Halloween marathon. For those of you who don't know, every September I start watching as many Halloween-related things as possible, including movies and television shows and maybe reading something. And I decided to take it easy since we had just gotten power back and watch BBC Ghosts on HBO. And I tried to draw all of them, but some of them had to make sacrifices and be not as detailed as I wanted them to be. So for example, Julian, I made him tiny enough so that I could fit in the fact that he's not wearing any pants. But yeah, you can tell who my favorites are, I think, because Robin, I love him so much and he gets a little heart, and I think Kitty's adorable. And also I made Humphrey too, just because I thought it was a funny joke. Now, not to keep referencing old videos, but if you watch my other sketchbook tour from my last sketchbook, I have a page that's gallery wall. It's very similar to this one, except this time I wanted to do it in black and white because I really like the way the previous BBC Ghost page looks. And so I picked some of my favorite art history paintings and I did little doodles of them to make it look like a cute little gallery wall spread. And it's interactive, so some of them open up so that I can write little notes or little journal entries in them, and I think it came out really pretty. I really wanted to do something like this in my bedroom when I was decorating my little gallery wall, but I realized that I am too short to paint something like this, and so I just did an actual gallery wall with self-portraits, and you can see it in my last YouTube video. And then here is where I wanted to do a Van Gogh. I wanted to do one in the, the gallery wall thing, but I didn't think I could do it correctly with just a pen. I didn't think I could get the textures that I wanted. I really like the colors that he uses. And so this is with Posca pen. And then also it's when I noticed that I really have got to start working on getting things for conventions, because I have one coming up soon and then I didn't. So I'm going to be really stressed out soon. And then this is Halloween, and like I said, Halloween is really important to me, but this is the first year in a really long time that I haven't done a Halloween related October art drawing challenge, because since the power outage really delayed me in terms of work, I ended up using October to work on portfolio pieces that I couldn't do in September, and I was really sad about not being able to do Halloweeny art, and so I made these in my sketchbook, and I'm really proud of how this one came out because she's so chubby. And I scanned them hoping to make stickers, but by then Halloween had come and gone. So maybe for next year, these girls will be new sticker designs. This might also be familiar because I did a YouTube video about the drawing on the right, but basically I wanted to do a self-portrait in the same style that I did the Van Gogh thing. So I've tried to paint it before and I didn't like it, but this time I took a picture of myself and I bumped up the saturation so I could pick out colors, and I think that really worked in my favor. And also that little tab that you see is just a piece of ribbon that I stapled there to sort of find that page again for when I reference it. And then this page, like I said before, I have an entire video on it. It is Copic markers, coloring pencils, gel pens, and Posca pens, and then a whiteout pen. It is a redraw, and you can find it up on my YouTube, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's a very colorful spread. And then doing the exact opposite, I did a black and white page here. Mainly, it's like a little comic about the fact that I have found 5 separate little white hairs growing in the same spot in my head, and I have been desperately wanting a little white streak, like a little horror movie character, so bad. I'm really hoping God takes it easy on me and gives me a white streak naturally, because I am too low maintenance to do it myself. I know that I will not keep up with the bleach because I have dark hair and I don't want to. And then I did this little bat around Halloween because I really wanted to do more Halloween art, and it's interactive, so it opens and it's a little vampire. And obviously I did a little journaling on the head, but I think it's really cute. And since I really liked it, I did it again, except this time I did a werewolf. And as you can tell, like I just said, I'm obsessed with the idea of me having a white streak. I want one so bad. And so these are just thinly veiled fantasies of me as a werewolf. Plus, I was deep into watching a bunch of horror movies because this is really, really close to the end of Halloween, and I was trying to watch as many movies as possible for my little watch list. And then I don't know if you guys have seen that thing that was going around on Twitter that's like a water tutorial. I ended up doing it with my red Posca pens because I wanted it to look like blood. And while I'm still here, I should mention that the other ones are in Copic marker, the interactive pages. I just forgot to mention that. Once again, same water thing, except this time it's actually water because I'm boring. Then this is my Halloween movie watch list. I try to write down all of the movies that I watch every single year from September to October, except this time I decided to keep it simple and easy on myself and only write down the ones that I've seen for the first time this year between September to October. And I managed to watch 53 movies in total. I'm not counting the ones that I finished watching after October 31st. And then I also write down any costume ideas that I have at the time. Some of them are just repeats from last year. And then I highlight the ones that are either more possible considering my sewing skills or just more likely considering my fixations. The next few pages are kind of like lazy days where I didn't want to get out any of my art materials and I just wanted to use the coloring pencils that I have on my dresser. And so this page is bugs. I painted them first in a color of highlighter, and then I would use pencils over that to give it that little bug look. I realize I really like drawing bugs, but I never actually draw bugs. I should draw more bugs. And then the next page is a sort of life drawing that I set up for myself when I was home alone because I just wanted to keep using my coloring pencils and take it easy. As you can tell, this is November 6th and my sister's birthday was literally the next day. And that got me thinking about my own birthday and how it wasn't really all that fun. But, you know, my family really did try to make it special, even though, you know, we couldn't really do anything, and my SpongeBob balloon that my mom got me was slowly dying, so I tried to paint that one, but I got bored of trying to make it look realistic. So this one is just, once again, coloring pencils, and then I used like a light yellow Posca pen to sort of do the details. This is mostly a quote or me writing down something, so I'm not really gonna go too into it, but that's just a collage image of Kermit as the little blue boy that I've had in my scrap pile of papers. And then finally, this is the last spread that I have in my sketchbook, and it's time to talk about another incident of power outages. I live in Puerto Rico, so if you know, you know, and you're not surprised. But around November 14th, I decided to go with my mom to go watch the new Black Panther movie, because it was like the only time where we could see it. It was during a weekday, and we went all the way over there, and the power went out right before the movie started, but they gave us a voucher to go to a different theater. And we did the same night, because we were not about to do it the next day. We were already out, and I didn't do anything about that. I didn't draw in this sketchbook again until December. When I did have free time in November, I was working on that gallery wall that I made a video about last time, and I had leftover paint with me that had a really specific texture. And since I made a little too much about it, I ended up just priming my pages with it so that I couldn't throw it out or something. And it is a weird texture. Like I said, it sort of made the coloring pencil that I was using scratch around a lot, and then I tried to draw Namor off of memory. I don't necessarily think it's a good one. And then I watched the Pinocchio movie, and I loved it. I watched it like 3 times. I really love the rabbits. They called me to draw them, and since I couldn't find pictures of them on the internet, I would just pause the movie to draw these rabbits. And I really like this one. I don't like the way it necessarily came out, but I might redo it. And now we're in the middle of my sketchbook. So this is all I have so far. I like to write down my ideas so that I don't forget what I'm going to do in the next pages. But basically, once Christmas is over, I'm going to do a little interactive page with a nutcracker on it so that I can write down a journal entry about how me and my sister went to go watch the Nutcracker recently, like a little kids ballet thing. I'm gonna draw some characters on there that I already have written down so that I don't forget them. And then after that, I am thinking of drawing more sticker designs for Comic-Con soon, hopefully before January. And if you guys are interested in seeing those, you guys can let me know. Maybe I can film the video and post it here too. But that is the end of my sketchbook tour. Thank you so much for watching if you stayed till the end. Update on the Elijah Wood painting. I still have not finished him, and his spirit continues to haunt me. I know it's you, Elijah. Stop. I filmed so many intros because I'm so awkward. I'm an awkward girl. This is not related to art in any way. I mean, I guess technically it is, but it's not related to the sketchbook. I made this vest. Is it handmade? Absolutely, and it shows, but I made a vest. When I wear a white shirt under it, it makes me look like Shrek. But you know what? Maybe that's the vibe. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything. I just wanted you guys to know where I am in my sewing journey. And speaking of random things that have nothing to do with the sketchbook tour, you guys should follow me on other social media, because on TikTok, I showed how I made this. All my buttons are in there. It's a Coraline cake. Genius invention. There's a lot going on in this room. I also made this cake. It says I'm sorry on it, because I'm sorry for its existence. It's full of shells. I will not elaborate why. I'm also going to do some shameless self-promotion and mention the fact that I have zines up on Etsy right now. You guys should probably buy them now, because I want to print some more for convention season next year that I'm excited and also very nervous about, because I thought I would be farther along by now, but it's been a doozy of a year. I tried to do that in a Wisconsin accent, and I apologize to people from Wisconsin. Thinking of making stickers. The problem with my brain when it comes to stickers is that I think of stickers that I would want, and I don't think anyone else would want them. Would anyone care about biblically accurate angels as stickers? Like, if I don't sell them at Comic-Con, would you order them on Etsy? Because if not, I'm gonna have a lot of eyeballs. Update on the gallery wall. So far, the only painting that has fallen off is the landscape painting. Ironically, you would have thought she would have less ire against me, but she has fallen off. Thankfully, I have been sleeping on the other side, so I haven't been smacked in the face with a painting.